This is the all-new Chevy Colorado Z71. Today we're going to take an in-depth look at the features, go on a little road trip, and see how well this turbocharged four-cylinder can tow my 5,000-pound travel trailer. But first, a Colorado montage. No, not that Colorado, this Colorado. After 7 long years with the previous generation Colorado, Chevy is finally shaking things up in the midsize truck segment with this redesigned Colorado. This third generation is slightly larger, has a much nicer interior, bigger infotainment screen, and what's this? Fewer engine options? Yep, gone are the diesel and the V6 from the previous generation, and under the hood you'll now find a turbocharged 2.7-liter inline-4 paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. In base form, it gets a respectable 237 horses. And to make things a bit more confusing, Chevy switched up engine options between 2023 and 2024. For 23 models, there are 3 options: the base, this plus, which makes 310 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque, and the high output found on the ZR2 only, which makes 310 horsepower and a substantial 430 pound-feet of torque. And the difference between the plus and the high output was basically just a tune. For 2024, they're attempting to simplify the lineup so you only get the base or the high output, which is now called the Turbo Max. Models with the base engine can tow just 3,500 pounds. The off-road Focus ZR2 can do 6,000, but Trail Boss and this Z71 can do a substantial 7,700 pounds. That's pretty respectable for a mid-sized truck. So I'm pretty excited to put this engine and transmission to the test. I'll be using it to tow my travel trailer later on in this video. All Colorados are sold as crew cab only and have just one bed option, coming in at 5 foot 2 inches. While it is larger than the mid-sized trucks of the past, the Colorado feels like a sensibly sized vehicle. Now, I don't need to do truck things every day, and I really have very little desire to own a full-size pickup. But I do tow trailers several times a year, and the tow rating of this Z71 has really got me interested. Okay, so let's talk about this exterior design. And first off, this nitro yellow metallic paint. Sure, it's not for everyone, but I'm so glad that a unique color is available. In bright light, it's kind of a greenish yellow, but at dusk it shows hints of copper and gold. I dig it. The new Colorado has a more aggressive front end with creases and bulges. To my eye, it's a pretty nice looking truck. This Z71 gets LED lights and fog lights and these fancy red recovery hooks. So what do you think of these wheels? To me, they look fine. They're not my favorite, but they're not offensive. And back here, we've got the optional easy lift and lower tailgate. Pretty nice, I don't have to hear this thing slam down. A luxury feature on a pickup truck. The Z71 Convenience Package 2 gives you this cool storage area here in the tailgate, which is pretty neat. And yes, this tailgate does lock. The bed comes in at 5 foot 2 feet, and it's pretty straightforward with no gimmicks. If you want a longer bed on a Colorado, you're out of luck. This is the only choice. We've got the optional spray-in bed liner, hooks where you need them, and a power plug back here, which is quite useful. And some Colorados have some pretty impressive payload ratings, all the way up to 1,684 pounds. That's better than some full-size pickup trucks. This Z71 gives you 1,467. All right, let's take a look inside. Okay, so first impressions are very good. Yes, this is not a luxury car, and there are a fair share of hard plastics here and there, but overall it's a big improvement over the previous generation. The front seats provide a decent amount of comfort. Driver's side on this trim is 8-way power adjustable with 2 memory locations. No power on the passenger side though. They're also ventilated and heated. And look, racing stripes. Headroom is slightly less than the previous generation Colorado, but I'm 6'3" and I fit in here without any issues with headroom or legroom, even with this optional sunroof. In front of the driver is a nice large display that's easy to read. There's several different configurations, including this minimal layout, which I really appreciate. Also this off-road focus layout, which would be useful on difficult trails. The infotainment screen is large and in a decent position on the dash, so your eyes are not directed too far away from the road when you're using it. The graphics are easy to read and the system is easy to use quickly. Although I do find it kind of annoying that the headlight controls are only accessible here in this infotainment screen. No physical switch on the dash anywhere. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are here, and yes, you can do wireless CarPlay, which is nice. Also in this display are your towing settings, which we'll get to in a bit. Below that in this Z71 is a dual climate control with big chunky knobs and actual physical buttons. 2 USB ports right here. The center console is straightforward and traditional. There's a large, easy to operate gear selector. And here's the controls for the drive modes and the 4-wheel drive selector. The center console isn't really all that big. And the door pockets are sadly tiny with little tiny cup holders. Okay, so yeah, in general, not a ton of space for your stuff. Let's check out the back seat. With the front seat set for myself, my legroom back here is compromised a little bit. The seats aren't really all that comfortable either, but I guess that's par for the course when it comes to rear seats in a mid-size pickup truck. We do get vents, USB ports, and not really much space for stuff under the seats. A child seat can fit okay in here, but you'll have to slide that front seat forward if you have a large rear-facing seat. So yeah, the back seat comfort doesn't really compare to a similarly sized SUV, but compared to other mid-sized trucks in the market, it's perfectly acceptable. Now in terms of safety, this Z71 gives you a decent suite of safety equipment, including lane keep assist, emergency braking, pedestrian detection, and forward collision alert. The optional safety package that we've got here provides rear cross-traffic braking, blind zone steering assist, and rear park assist. But it would really be nice if all of these features were standard instead of optional. But with this being a mid-size truck, it is a bit easier to gauge your blind spots than a full-size truck. Visibility out the side is good. Visibility out the front is acceptable, though the hood is very high and it's very possible for kids to be out of view if they're right in front of the vehicle. View out the back is decent and the rear view camera has acceptable resolution. All right, let's drive this thing. So this Z71 with the more powerful engine feels like it could tackle just about anything you throw at it. You can really feel that torque, especially when accelerating. And speaking of acceleration, this truck can get to 60 miles per hour in about 6.5 seconds, so no problem getting up to speed on the freeway, and no noticeable turbo lag, which is great. Now I'm sure there's some people out there that are concerned about the durability of a high compression turbocharged 4-cylinder in a truck made for work. But Chevy used some tricks found in their diesel trucks, like a strengthened offset crankshaft, and torture tested these trucks by running them at full boost for weeks. So Chevy says it's one of the most durable engines they've ever made, but you know, time will tell. The 8-speed transmission is a carryover from the previous generation Colorado, but it shifts smoothly. We've also got a rear limited slip differential, and when it comes to off-roading, if you want power locking front and rear diffs, you'll have to opt for the ZR2. The Colorado is still using independent front suspension with a solid rear axle and leaf springs, and while it still rides like a truck, especially over broken pavement, the overall ride quality found here is really good. In terms of fuel economy, it's acceptable. Rear-wheel drive models get 20 miles per gallon city and 25 miles per gallon highway. Four-wheel drive models like this Z71 get an estimated 19 miles per gallon city and 23 miles per gallon highway. And of course, far less than that when pulling a trailer. Okay, so I guess that's a good segue to towing, which is the main reason why I was interested in checking out this Colorado in the first place. So yesterday, my family and I loaded up our travel trailer, hooked it up to the truck, and prepared to embark on a short road trip to a campground on the California coast. The travel trailer was fully loaded up, including a full tank of water, which put it at right around 5,000 pounds. The rear view camera has a couple different views intended to help you hook up to a trailer. This view is especially helpful at getting you lined up. There is also this top-down view. However, when it looked like it was spot on, it ended up being a few inches too far back. I also really appreciate the trailer wiring checks that it performs. It helped us diagnose an issue with our trailer wiring before our trip. So once we got hooked up, we got our weight distribution hitch dialed in and headed out on our journey, I found myself really liking how this thing tows. Plenty of power from the turbocharged 4-cylinder, even heading up pretty steep hills. And when it comes to stability and handling, yes, you are going to feel a bit more movement out back than you would with a full-size truck, especially if it's a bit windy. But overall, I was impressed with how it did. And braking was also not an issue. Heading downhill, the transmission did what you'd expect and allowed the engine to do most of the braking. I only had to hit the brakes a couple times when we were heading down some pretty serious grades. My only issue here is the trailer brake controller is mounted very low on the dash. In terms of fuel economy while towing, don't expect any miracles. We averaged 9.5 miles per gallon when towing. I've experienced far worse in other trucks, but I was expecting a little bit better. But overall, I was really impressed with the towing experience here. The Colorado got us to our destination with ease. Okay, let's talk price. The Chevy Colorado starts at $36,995 for the two-wheel drive WT model and tops out at well over 50 grand for the ZR2 with options. This Z71, as tested with a bunch of options, comes in at just over 47 grand. Yep, that's a lot of money for a mid-sized truck, but it is a hair less than the average new vehicle price in the US. Things are heating up in the mid-sized truck segment. The new 4th gen Tacoma and 5th gen Ranger are here with a whole host of improvements, significantly narrowing the Colorado's lead, though the Colorado still tops both of them when it comes to towing. So what do you think of the new Colorado? As someone that has owned a bunch of trucks, I'm actually pretty impressed with this thing. To me, it's the perfect size. The Colorado really seems to be for someone that wants to do truck things, someone that wants a very capable vehicle, but a full-size pickup is too big and an SUV isn't capable enough. And that's where this mid-sized truck shines. With its impressive towing capabilities, the Colorado is a seriously useful truck, but it's a truck that will still fit in your garage. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon. If you want to help support the channel, please consider buying a Hello Road t-shirt at helloroad.tv/shop. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're well, and I'll see you soon.